What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring all of us to look better, feel better, just be better people every damn day of our lives. And our Wednesday night show, brought to you by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. That's just north of Frandor on East Saginaw and Lansing, near the Lansing East Lansing border. Great place to watch MSU basketball games if you don't have a ticket, or they're on the road, or an MSU hockey game this weekend, or the NFL games, the Lions game Sunday night. And during MSU games, by the way, they have MSU specials going on, which are always fantastic as well. That's Cask & Company and Front 43, two adjoining places, one outstanding menu, and just terrific beer selection. Jason, how you doing, man?
Why don't you write something? Huh? Why don't you?
You know, it was nice of Izzo to let his son shoot last night, right? So close, Steven. So close.
He got the rebound.
He did.
And he took a hit.
He's in the stat sheet, right?
Apparently, and I talked to him in the locker room afterward, he was he got yelled at for missing a free throw. That's why his dad was mad at him.
Don't coach my
because they work on the free throws. But the thing about Steven Izzo in practice, one of his roles is, and he's great at it, is he can miss a free throw anywhere. Like, because his job is to miss, so they practice rebounding. So he's supposed to miss in a certain place. He missed everything on that one. That was bad. For a guy who apparently shoots 93% in practice, that's a pretty, just tells
but
you.
with everybody staring at you and stuff, I feel bad for him, but yeah.
Pressure of the moment, you know?
Yeah.
He stuck around and answered the tough questions. So I give him that.
Hopefully we can see him when they play Michigan, I guess.
Yeah, that would
try again.
That would be the ultimate if they're up big and he hits
with
like
the
a
old
three.
school Izzone in town. Oh man, if you would have hit that.
Yeah, but
anyway,
it'll be
good
raucous enough on Saturday. We'll get to Michigan State basketball here in a minute. We're going to talk some MSU football with Elijah Collins in the transfer portal. Looks like they're losing DeMarco Coleman, the defensive line coach, as well. We should. Everybody's beginning with DeMar Hamlin and the Bills right now, and I don't want to make this pod. I don't want to get in a whole discussion on that because that's not why people tune in to us.
No,
but
it was wild though, man.
It was an interesting evening. Yeah, and you know. It was, it's what everybody's saying. It's you notice when you see the players' faces just how serious it is, how awful it is, and
I know it was unprecedented, but watching the ESPN, the anchors, and I felt so bad for them that they just had to talk about that topic, but you didn't really have any other information, so you were just sitting there saying the same thing over and over again. So I was like, just throw it to something.
Yeah.
Have like a lower third that says,
I thought they did a decent job, especially Van Pelt and Ryan Clark and those guys.
Yeah.
But that's hard. Like, at some point,
if you don't know anything, like those guys are just sitting there. You can't talk about you can't talk about Tom Brady in the next breath. So
yeah, at some point you go to your regularly scheduled ESPN 8 programming with bowling or something and just change the channel because there's nothing that can be done but just try to, I don't know. You're not going to get an update and people are looking for updates, and all you could do at that point is slip up, and you're trying to, bring some perspective. Anyway,
you got people tweeting stuff out, and they want to be first with some sort of knowledge. And
yeah, hopefully,
it's wild.
Hopefully the guy's all right. Seems like a good dude by all accounts. 24 years old.
So if he was a bad guy, we'd be like okay with it.
Well, if it came out after this, it was like this guy killed 7 people, you'd be like, well, I don't know, But it seems like he's a pretty
extreme. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it seems like he's a pretty good guy, and hopefully he gets to live a long life.
But do you think this will change?
No.
Honestly, when I was sitting there, I was like, man, the game is going to be in 10 years. Are we going to be playing flag football?
No, because this seemed from, and we don't 100% know what happened yet, but this seemed like a pretty innocuous hit. Like it just, and we don't 100% know what happened, but it sounds like if you get hit just at a certain point between a heartbeat or whatever, this can cause that sort of arrhythmia. We don't even know.
A normal kind of play, a bang bang play, and it's like some of these hits that you see, you're like, good Lord.
This could be a heart condition that was undiagnosed that he had before.
Like Pete Maravich. Pete Maravich died on a church basketball court at like 46.
Well, yeah, you see that sometimes. So we'll see how much it was impact related. It's not going to it's not going to change the game. It's a jarring
You don't think
moment.
so?
No,
Okay.
we've been through a lot of these. We've been through the Reggie Brown thing. We've been through a lot. You know, you go back to thumbs up, Mike Utley. I mean, I had one of those shirts when I was like 11. Thumbs up, man.
That's
thumbs up,
true.
Mike Utley.
Mike
you know?
Utley, yeah.
So I don't know. It's
I mean, I hope not. I just don't know with the way quarterbacks are getting hit now and not being able to get hit. I should say it feels like in 10 years this game's going to look a lot different.
Speaking of Mike Utley, about the last bad segue.
Are you going to a live read?
No. This is. Let me tell you about muskox. And,
Mike Utley's the guy that would wear a muskox.
yeah, which we're both wearing tonight, by the way.
That's true. Yeah.
But no, about the last time we had this much hope for the Lions.
Oh man.
And we're going to have Colton Pouncy, Lions writer for The Athletic, who obviously all of you know from his time covering Michigan State, on with us in a little bit, and then we'll pick the games with Harry in a little while. Let's talk a little MSU football and then some hoops first. Marco Coleman going back to Georgia Tech, his alma mater, as a defensive line coach, I don't think is a huge storyline. You know, I think he's a good coach by all accounts, and that's somebody they've got to replace. But these sort of things happen. I think the bigger story of the day to me is Elijah Collins in the transfer portal, and I'm hoping to talk with Elijah in the next few days and maybe do a column on him here. But I'm a big fan of Elijah Collins, the person, and have been for a long time. And it's not just because he's stuck around MSU, but I think that's notable in a time where a lot of people leave when they're being replaced, and he went through a lot where you're nearly at 1,000-yard back as a freshman. Then you get a coaching change, the COVID year. He gets COVID himself, and a bad case of it to the point that it really affected him. Then he gets injured the next year. They bring in Kenneth Walker. He was a great teammate by all accounts. Stuck around again. Finally gets his chance this year. Averaged 4.5 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns on 70 rushes. I mean, you could argue, he was relevant again. He was important. Looked like a dude. Looked like a high major running back. And at times, I think he was MSU's best running back. But you also look at the running back room, and beyond having Jalen Berger back, Nathan Carter, the transfer they're bringing in from UConn, they still have Davion Prim and Jordan Simmons, and they got a freshman, Jalen Barberin, I believe it's how it's pronounced, speed guy out of California. I think they're going to put it running back. And so, but I thought he had a chance this coming year if he wanted to come back, to be him and Berger. And then when they brought in Carter, that was sort of the writing on the wall that, okay, there's another guy who's, I think from what I've seen from him, he's a pretty good back. But I don't know. I also for Elijah,
but did they use him properly this past season?
It's a good
because
argument.
when he was running well, it seems like they pulled him and didn't ride the Elijah Collins wave. So I don't know why, if that happened this year, not many kids are just going to stick around for another year if they're not used when they're playing well.
Well, it seemed like they were late to turn to him, because when they turned to him, he produced.
Yeah.
And then, but for a while it was him and Berger ran well at the end. I don't think that, I think they did a pretty good job with those two guys for a while. But also, if you're Elijah Collins, like a lot of these guys who've transferred out of Michigan State late in the D'Antoni era, early in the Mel Tucker era, have been guys who went down to Akron or someplace like that. And Elijah Collins may want to do that, because the one thing about running backs, it's a diva position. Like, the mid-majors are full of high-major running backs. There are good running backs everywhere because kids want to play and they're really good. And it's a mistake if you think, I'll just be a star if I go to Miami, Ohio. That's not necessarily the way it works. But he is also, to me, a high-major player if he can find a place with a need at that position. And you get a guy for 1 year and a guy who I think was a pretty good receiver this year, had 14 catches as well. Just a seasoned guy, good guy, will be a good program guy. You know that about him.
But you could prosper at a mid-major as long as they have a good offensive line, right? And then you can put up numbers there.
You can. He's a guy who, I would not be stunned if Elijah Collins, at some point you're like, he's stuck on an NFL roster.
Sure.
Special teams guy, a decent running back. Like, I don't think his talent level is beneath the ability to stick on an NFL roster. And I think he knows that, and he wants to make sure he gets the chance. I don't know his perspective on this 100% yet, but I've always enjoyed my conversations with him. I think he's a very thoughtful kid, and he never thought he wasn't getting an opportunity at Michigan State. So his reason for leaving, you do 5 years at a place, he may want to just do something else. I mean, I totally get that too, and but I also think when you see them bring in a guy like they did from UConn, Nathan Carter, although he's a younger player too, he's going to be around for a minute. Like, I don't know that he had to leave, but I'll be interested to see those conversations. I don't think it helps MSU losing him, but it is sort of the last one of the last connections to the Mark D'Antonio era, or at least some positives from late in that era. Let's also talk some MSU hoops here. So Michigan State beats
coach my team.
Nebraska rather handily on Tuesday
Nebraska.
night. Nebraska's not that bad. They lost.
You just love Wilhelm Bradenbach.
I didn't even know how to pronounce his name.
I saw that dude last night, and I'm like, Graham's getting a boner. He's going to have to cover with his laptop. That's the guy that you probably play like when you play hoops, right?
There were a couple guys on the Nebraska team that look like me in a different era of my life, at least at a lower level.
I mean, they're 8-8, so they're doing something. They beat 8 teams, I guess.
Yeah, when they beat some good teams. They lost at overtime at Purdue. They beat Iowa by 16, although Iowa's kind of a mess. They won at Creighton, although Creighton was a little shorthanded, I think. But they're not as bad as they've been. There's some carryover from the end of last year, the way they ended. So it's not a bad win. And it's it's not just that they won. I thought Michigan State played as well as they have against a competitive, good team. And you can argue that Penn State game maybe, but and they defended really well at times against Penn State. But since the very beginning of the year, and they're at full health now, and you start to see, and I know that Malik Hall isn't what he will be, but you start to see just the reason they have an advantage is that backcourt. It is, when A.J. Hoggard and Tyson Walker, Jaden Akins, I mean, that's a really nice trio against anybody. And they were better than Nebraska's guards last night. And Walker was on fire early. Hoggard made some really nice plays. You're seeing Akins shoot the ball well. Sissoko got back to rebounding at high level. And the other thing they have is a guy like Hauser a year ago never made the big shot. And in this game, it gets a little prickly, like it's like a 12-point game again, midway through the second half. You're starting to, you can almost sense the uneasiness a tiny bit. And boom, corner three, Hauser. Like that, he is just a different guy in that sort of ability and that sort of ability to count on him at this point in the season. And so now they get Michigan.
What about your freshman thoughts, though?
I didn't do them last night, even though they had good games. Because
I got to say, Trey Holloman for 8 minutes, 2 points, 1 assist. I felt like I really liked his game last night.
He was terrific. Yeah. They were like +7 with him and
So you don't do freshman thoughts after both two guys do.
Because I felt like I wrote the same thing off the previous game that I was going to write, and it's like,
copy and paste.
Yeah, and I did think Sissoko's play was notable. I wanted to get the bit on the alumni zone and Steve Beckman, who brought to my attention just how good they are against the spread, which carries over again next year. Everybody bet that. When the alumni zone come to town, bet the Spartans. But I think it's up to
Steve will have to remind us.
Yeah, I'll try to remember. 10.1 or whatever his points per game above the Vegas spread since 2015, other than the COVID years. And but yeah, no, I thought Sissoko was like they took away, and I think it was Walker. It was either Walker or Hauser was explaining this to me exactly what the style Nebraska plays takes away. Like they did not allow. You're not going to get a screen and roll to the basket, alley-oop, dunk type thing. But he got 5 offensive rebounds, and he defended well, and that's the Sissoko they need. They need him not to foul out. You get another real test against Hunter Dickinson this Saturday.
Ooh.
Which, this is going to be a fun game. This is because Hunter Dickinson has made himself the biggest
stupid-looking face
villain in the basketball rivalry in modern times since the 90s,
Wow.
I think.
Hot Take Show was Sunday, my friend.
Well, no, I'm talking villain in that rivalry because you think about the rivalry. Maybe Mo Wagner a little bit.
He's got a stupid-looking face.
It's not very nice.
But you think in the 2000s, Michigan State dominated the rivalry. There was no opportunity for Michigan to have that sort of presence. And then when Michigan started to play it even up, which they've done for a decade or more now, 12 years really, and I'm doing a column on this for tomorrow, just sort of the stalemate of the basketball rivalry and how no individual game can ever be bragging rights because just for too long it's been just about dead equal. But they're really, other than Beeline wasn't a guy who poked the bear. He didn't care about the rivalry. And Izzo liked him, and you didn't have that dynamic very often. You had a little bit of it with Wagner. But then you really got to go back to the early days of the Izzo tenure and the end of the Heathcote tenure for that sort of person, and to sort of see the Izzone deal with Hunter Dickinson and to watch Michigan State play this rivalry now with Izzo coaching against Juwan Howard, which triggers all sorts of emotional early memories. It's just fascinating. It's always interesting for me, and because he'll never. I did a column on this before the Howard tenure, but in like 2017 is probably the best piece I've done on this. Just how much it will never leave his system, and it's.
So do you think the players feel the same way?
He won't let them not. Like, they feel it. Like, if you're one of these young pups, if you're Trey Holloman, if you're Jackson Kohler, if you're Carson Cooper, you get in that locker room pregame with Izzo or in the practices before this rivalry, and you feel it. It's radiating off his head. He can't. Now, he has talked about one of the reasons that they struggled very early on in the rivalry, like I'm talking 96, 95, when he first took over, 96, 97, he has said he was too emotionally wrapped up in it to coach well, and he understood he had to pull that back. And so it's not like he doesn't understand the balance, but you cannot not feel this game when you're around Tom Izzo heading into this game if you are on his roster.
Don't coach my team.
And it's an important game for Michigan State, too. It's not just like the rivalry has less long-term oomph than it does in football. But in terms of this Michigan State team, pretty similar in some ways in Ken Palm, at least they were the other night. Haven't looked today. Michigan's playing Penn State as we do this pod, but look, a bounce-back game against Maryland. Michigan's got enough talent to give Michigan State problems. They obviously have a big man who's, we just talked about, who's skilled offensively and could cause MSU some problems. But I think MSU's got better guards. And I think that's, I don't know what the ceiling is of this MSU team, but I think their guards on a given night give them a shot against just about everybody in the country. If they're big, Sissoko especially, hangs in there when they have to play against decent size. And I think we saw that at the very beginning of the year, and I know Gonzaga and Kentucky have taken their lumps, but I think that'll hold. I don't look at anybody in the country I've seen so far that if Michigan State isn't okay inside, that means Mady Sissoko, that they can't compete on a given night. You think they can't beat? I mean, Purdue was just number one in the country. Rutgers won that game the other night against them. Nebraska went into Purdue and lost in overtime. So, or was that I forget where that game was, but nonetheless, overtime against Purdue. So I think Michigan State this particular year on a given day. That said, I also still don't trust them to do what they did against Nebraska. I think that was the most interesting thing, Jason, was that defensively, 7 steals, 28% in the first half, just the way they locked in and locked them down and played a very efficient, tenacious game. Like, if that's going to be their personality every night, then with that backcourt, they're gonna be way off the bubble. That's not going to be an issue. And the real question will be is, can they win enough to be in the Big Ten championship conversation? And games at home against Michigan help determine that. Like I said, this stretch, Michigan, and then next week Wisconsin, then Illinois on the road. They're 3-1 at the end of that stretch if they're going to compete for a Big Ten title. If they're anything less than that, they're 2-2. They won't, because then they're 3-3 in the Big Ten. You're going to play behind the 8 ball. You're going to lose a couple more games. It doesn't mean they won't get to a place where they make a run and they become really, really good. But if they're going to compete for a Big Ten title, they're going to win 2 of these next 3 games, and I don't think they're going to win both on the road. So you beat Michigan. You beat a flawed Michigan team in an emotional game on your home court if you're going to be taken seriously in the Big Ten. And
I just think Michigan State, I mean, like you said, it's tough to figure this team out, but I feel that Michigan State, if they're under 9 turnovers, 9 and under, I think they can compete with anyone as long as they don't double-digit turnover.
Yeah, no, I
It seems like that's how they win games, by just getting right under that 10 turnover mark for me.
All right, before we get to Colton and talk some Lions, and I agree with you on that, by the way. They've been so much better on turnovers this year, and it has not been an issue for them, and part of that's the maturation of those guards. Before we get to Colton, a reminder of the MSU game day specials at Cask and Company in Front 43, $4.50 pints during MSU games of Bell's, Ellison, Founders, and Shorts, $5 mugs of Miller Lite, Bud Light, and Labatt's, Spartan fries, MSU rolls, Spartan burgers, all on special during MSU games at Front 43 and Cask and Company. We'll take a quick break, come back, talk Lions, little Michigan State football, the man who ruined Michigan State and built the Lions himself, Colton Pouncy. Couch in the Roof, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis in Front 43 and Cask and Company.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask and Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask and Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox high-quality flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Roof, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis. Go to skymint.com, check out the latest deals and also the locations. Chances are you're within half an hour of a Skymint location. Best way to get through January is adding Skymint to your life. Take an edible. Jason begins every show with one, and it's the only reason.
I do?
Well, you usually have.
I'm about to say, do you have any?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. You could have played along just a little bit
thanks,
better.
Man. I just took one during the break.
It is time for our Hopcat interview of the week, presented by our friends at Hopcat, the best damn beer bar, world-famous Cosmic Fries, and fine local craft beer selection wherever you live. It feels like a local brewery, be it East Lansing, Grand Rapids, Indianapolis. Great place to watch games, including MSU hockey games. So this Friday's big series at Ohio State, 7 p.m., and then Saturday at 4. Those games will be on at Hopcat, and you can check it out in East Lansing and join the crew watching Michigan State hockey. Very pleased now to have with us Colton Pouncy, Lions beat writer for The Athletic, the man responsible for all of MSU's football misery and the Detroit Lions' success. How are you, sir?
Pretty good, man. It's been a long time. How you been? That's a better question.
I'm good. I miss you, man. I miss having you around. The beat was better with you. So
miss you guys too. We'll have to catch up soon.
Yeah, no, that would be great. It's just you and James frolicking in Detroit. I see all the pictures. It looks like a really good time to be young and single in a sweet town. Oh, you guys aren't single. Never mind. I'll take that back. We'll fix that in post. Take that out, Jason.
I am single. He's not. That's
okay.
The problem. I got to get him out more.
Okay. Yeah. That's yeah. Oh, there you go. Good time for you to be. At least I didn't get you in trouble with anything there. Okay, we'll start here. How much do you miss the MSU beat and living in Lansing?
I miss the MSU beat a lot. I just miss Solari's post-game meltdowns. we don't get that on the Lions beat, and I miss the chaos around me. Him and Charbonneau just going at it. But Detroit's been good to me. I can't complain too much. James is actually my neighbor. We live in the same apartment complex, so I get to annoy him on a daily basis now. But I do miss Lansing. I miss the guys out there. So there are days where I definitely do miss it. I'll say that.
So who's the closest to melting down like Solari and the Lions beat? Is it like Justin Rogers? Like that would be my guess. Like who's the meltdown king?
I don't know. They all keep their composure. They're all pretty chill. Maybe I'm just like, I kind of go off to my own corner when I write, so I don't see it as much. But Solari and Charbonneau, you can't escape it. That's the thing. Like they're just right there at all times doing their little back and forth after games. So it's more in your face on the MSU beat. I'll say that.
Last night we had a good one. You would have loved it in the press room. Just a tip about flying versus driving to Illinois and Madison, those sort of things.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. So what is before we get into the Lions, best part of an NFL beat rather than college football?
I'll say the food, man. I mean, no disrespect to MSU, but the food I get from NFL City, some of the trips I've been to, like going to Dallas and AT&T Stadium, they had us. They did us well up there. Minnesota has like an ice cream bar, like in Minneapolis, that like spaceship stadium over there. Like they treat us well over there. I would say, as much as I love going to like West Lafayette in November, some of the actual cities are a little bit cooler, I'd say. I hope that's on a hot take.
No. When everybody points to West Lafayette when they have to pick on the Big Ten, it's always like, the Purdue game. Geez. Which it's actually.
I love the Big Ten trips, though. I mean, the rest of Madison's like a great town.
Yeah.
Like you get to go to Chicago when you go to Evanston. So, I mean, I did no disrespect to that. But West Lafayette was the one that I was just like, I'll skip this if I can.
No, and I always appreciated that you love the melting moments ice cream sandwiches as much as I did, and I've tried to eat those for you in honor of you this year.
You got to take a picture every time you do it.
Yeah, the access is better though too, right? You got the open locker rooms and the ability to tell stories. In MSU basketball, you have a little of that with the open locker rooms, but in MSU football, I mean that's the big difference is. Pro football, there are mandated openings. It just allows you to do your job at a higher level, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like my first week when we were there for training camp, like that was just pretty jarring. I mean, you know how it is in August at MSU. We get, 15-minute windows like once a week for 3 weeks in August, and that's pretty much it. Whereas when I got to Lions, we were there 6 days a week, get to see like 2 hours of practice. So it really allows you to form your own opinions. If you're someone coming in from a different beat to come over to Lions, like I was able to really form my own evaluations of each player over the course of like a full month. So that was honestly really helpful for me coming in. I still have some notes I check back on when I'm thinking about a specific player. And even in season, we still get like 15 minutes, 3 days a week. So it's mostly just stretching at that point, but we do get to keep track of injuries. That's it's not secretive like it is on the college level, obviously. So we actually get to see who's practicing, who's not. It just helps you get a better idea of the bigger picture, I guess. The access, it can be a little overwhelming sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, man, I've been here like way too long this week. But at the same time, it's super helpful for just writing and forming stories and opinions.
No, I remember, everybody knows I covered Western Michigan for a while, but every fall camp practice was open, which sounds amazing until the fourth week of fall camp. When you're there standing on the sidelines, the sweat dripping down your back, you're like, oh, my God, okay, how much longer are they going to do this? It is good. I'm also, like, we've all been that first year on a beat. You've done it at MSU. You've done it before that. How, like, the fear is, right, getting beat on something badly. How much have you gotten past that at this point, and do you feel pretty comfortable sourcing and just sort of the ability that first year is always a little nerve-wracking?
Yeah, I'd say it's still a work in progress. There's just stuff like I want to make sure I'm around for everything. Like even in the locker room, it's like you look around, some guys getting a one-on-one, you're just like, am I missing something out? Am I missing out on something here? But that's part of the game. Like I feel like I've gotten good stuff just by being proactive and going up to someone first and just kind of taking my time on a conversation and really just talking to the dude. So I feel like it's sort of a bit of a balancing act for my first year, but I would say I'm a lot more comfortable now than I was, 3 months ago when I kind of started. So yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, no. Well, I've enjoyed reading your stuff. You've done a great job, and it's been fun to have your voice on that beat. So but you did not. I mean, when they're 1-6, you're getting the usual Detroit Lions experience, and I'm guessing people are sort of saying, "Oh, this is," and you're thinking this is what it's going to be. At what point did you recognize or think that they could be more?
Yeah, like even when they were losing games, like I would say when they were 1-6, the only one of those games that they weren't like competitive in the fourth quarter was New England, and they just had a ton of injuries. That was a weird game. It was like right before the bye, so I think they were just kind of like limping to that point. But the other games, like they were right in it in the fourth quarter with a chance to win. So I didn't feel like they were far off. They just needed to learn how to kind of win close games and close out games in the fourth quarter. And, you know, a lot of people were like, same old Lions. Like I didn't really know that was a thing until I got to the beat, but I learned quickly that people love to say that for like no reason. And I'm watching this team and I'm just like, I get it. I get why people say that, but to me, you have to kind of view each season differently. You can't compare everything to like 1957. You have to evaluate each GM, each head coach on their own, and not really, you know, look at it for what it is, and not what it was in the past. So that's kind of how I approached this team, and I thought Dan Campbell's a guy that is going to get the most out of his players. He's going to motivate them. You know, you could question some of the in-game decisions and things like that, but I think that's something that he can grow into over time. But everything else is there because these players love him. They play hard for him. They're competitive for these guys. Like the game plans are always sound, in my opinion. So I felt like it was only a matter of time before they kind of turned things around. I didn't think it would be this drastic, going from 1-6 to winning 7 of your last 9 and maybe sneaking into the playoffs here. But I did think they would win some games down the stretch. I didn't think they'd be drafting first overall, and I just felt like it was a matter of time. And I felt like this year was all about setting up a potential run in 2023. But you know, to my surprise, they've kind of almost set up a playoff run here if a few things break their way on Sunday.
Well, so let's go to Sunday. Like, I don't think this game should have been on Sunday night because I just don't think it's fair probably to the Seahawks, if anybody, because, you know, and maybe the dynamic of the Lions-Packers makes it so the Lions will play their asses off either way. But, you know, in another scenario, I don't know the NFL can know that the Seahawks win, the Lions know they're out. They don't perform as well. The Packers then win, and then that bumps the Seahawks out. I think these games should kick off at the same time. How much do you think the Seattle result will impact the Lions?
I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, they would probably be playing at the same time. But the Lions also wanted the Sunday night slot. Like, they were the only team in the NFL when the schedule came out that did not have a primetime slot all year. Like, they have Thanksgiving, but that's an early game. So this was when they flexed it to that time, a lot of the guys were like excited to play and kind of show off their progress. So I still think they're going to play hard regardless of it being at 4:25 or, you know, the later game. Obviously, if you don't have a playoff spot on the line, it's easy to be like, well, what are we really playing for? But at the same time, I think the way Campbell's been talking, the way these players have been talking, like Aaron Rodgers made some comments midseason that they have not forgotten about, where he was like, we shouldn't have lost to a team like that after they lost in November to the Lions. So a lot of those guys remember that. A lot of those guys don't want to see the Packers in the playoffs, whether they have a chance to get in or not. So I think that'll be a factor. And also just like the idea of playing meaningful football in January. That's so important to these young guys. They had never experienced that. And so even if you're just playing spoiler, you were right there. You had a chance. You know, some things didn't go your way, but you can still finish strong. And they have a chance to finish 9-8. That would triple their win total from 2021. So they're absolutely going to play hard. Like, it would not surprise me if they go to Lambeau and win, because that's kind of the mentality they're going out with. Like, I don't think they're just going to roll over even if the Seahawks end up winning. So that's kind of the mindset out now in Park this week.
What's your sense on the organization's perception of Jared Goff? Because, like, for me, this is a big game for him. Like, I don't care about your stats. If you're eventually going to win win big playoff games against star quarterbacks, you've got to perform well. Like, this is a spot. Perform well on the road at Lambeau against a division rival and Aaron Rodgers with a lot on the line potentially, and you will change the narrative. And if you don't, it's a little empty. Like, there's still all those questions. Do you think this game matters for how they go forward with him, or what's your perception of and reporting and understanding of where they are with him?
I sort of feel like the 2023 decision has pretty much been made. I think he's going to come back and be their guy next year. I think the question with him is, like, you know, long term. Like, obviously you want to end the regular season on a high note. You don't want to leave a bad taste. Like, if he goes out there and throws for like 150 yards, completes half of his passes, and throws like 3 interceptions, that's going to leave a sour taste in your mouth after a solid year, in my opinion. But I still think the question is more like beyond 2023, like where are you at as a franchise, and is Jared Goff the guy to get you to where you want to go? Because I think they can be competitive. I think they can win the NFC North in 2023. They'll have 2 first-round draft picks. They'll have 5 picks in the top 85-ish. So they'll have room to add more young talent and continue growing. But I think the question, like, long-term is Jared Goff the guy that gets you to the Super Bowl, like, years from now when this team is, like, fully in place? And that I don't know. But I do think he's proven himself throughout the course of this season. He's 4th in touchdown passes, over 4,000 yards. Like, their offense is top 5 in a lot of categories. Like, I don't really know how much better you're getting with a Bryce Young or a C.J. Stroud for next year. If you're thinking long-term and you want to get one of those guys, then, I can understand it to an extent, but I still think they're better off just, like, fixing the defense that ranks towards the bottom of the league with those 2 first-round picks. So, to me, the question is always beyond 2023 with Goff, because when you look around the league, you got Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. These dudes are, like, really talented quarterbacks. I don't think Goff is quite on that level, but that doesn't mean you can't win and be a playoff team with them. It's just the question of when your team gets to that place, like the Chiefs did with Alex Smith and they made the switch to Pat Mahomes, that's where I see the Lions getting to before they make a decision on Goff.
Right, and the question is, do you bring in the guy and you don't, because you don't even have to start one of those rookies. You can play Goff next year and wait till that guy's ready, and that obviously worked there in Kansas City. Man, it is good to hear your voice. I'm glad that you've gotten to cover. I mean, hell, we've all enjoyed the Lions, but I'm glad you've gotten to cover a non-same old Lions year, man. And hopefully we'll catch up this off season.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to that. Appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you, Colton. That's Colton Pouncy, of course, from The Athletic. Great stuff. Many of you are familiar with his work from his time covering Michigan State and probably still read him on his Lions coverage. Any takeaways from that, Jason?
I just think the national narrative of if Seattle ends up winning that game, that the Lions are not going to want to win that game or play. I just think it doesn't. I don't think it matters if it's a night game. They play at 1 a.m., 7 a.m. They want to beat Aaron Rodgers because this is like a defining moment in the franchise. This is like getting this monkey off of your back, this Aaron Rodgers thing. If you beat him to knock him out of the playoffs, not just beat him in the regular season, but you beat to knock him out and take Green Bay out, that's like a defining moment for me.
So here's the 2 things counterpoints to that, and I don't disagree with you. I think one would be if the Lions were to get behind. Like if you're behind and it doesn't look like you're down 14 or something, your will to give everything you have to come back and try to the playoffs are on the line versus it didn't go. Well, could be.
It's our core foundation.
I mean, listen to this guy.
Okay, I'm just counterpointing. I could be totally wrong
after 2 TDs.
But my other point is, yes, I think that is the dynamic. I don't think it'll matter a ton. But I don't think the NFL in their scheduling people can understand that dynamic 100%. You know what I mean?
And that's okay. This is for the Lions and Lions fans only. Though.
But so again, for the integrity of the situation, it's the wrong move, even if it works out okay. That's what I'm saying. That's all it is.
And on to Goff. I mean, listen, I know that he's putting up good numbers. I just don't know if he can throw a deep ball. And if you have a guy like Jamison Williams, I saw him run a couple routes where he looked like he was wide open. And Goff didn't even look his way. I just don't know. And Goff underthrew him on a touchdown earlier in the season, too, or a couple weeks ago. I just don't think Goff has the arm. He's good. He's serviceable, can put up stats when you don't touch him. But let's see him in Green Bay and see him on the road.
To me, this is the game. If he is going to change, they don't have to necessarily win it. You can lose a game in Green Bay where he plays well. But this is the game where I almost knocked the microphone down again. This is a game where if he plays really well in on the road, outdoors, Lambeau, against a great quarterback opposite where you've got to keep pace a little perhaps, like that's something that says, okay.
I want to see a couple passes, though, that makes you say, wow, like Stafford used to throw.
Here's the reason to move on this year and to do the Pat Mahomes, Alex Smith thing now rather than wait. The better you get, the harder it is to draft high. And right now, what you have still is this high Rams draft pick. And it may not be as high as you want it to be, and ideally it's less high because they win at Seattle, right? But you've got your own draft picks to package. You've got more draft capital and equity to play with than you've had in the past.
But do you have to reach for a quarterback? I mean, look at it, as long as you solidify your offensive line and defensive line. I mean, some of these teams have proven, Brock Purdy and some of these other quarterbacks, that you just need to be serviceable. We can win 11 games.
Let's see somebody win a Super Bowl, because that's what it comes down to. Can you do something different? And so to me, when you have that draft pick this year, and if you like one of the guys, go get him. Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like if you don't think one of these guys is the guy, then yeah, I mean you're going to bring Goff back either way. Don't push it. But if you believe in one of these guys, and that's where you have to trust Brad Holmes a little bit.
And we do. I think we do because he's proven that these guys that are coming, these 5th, 6th, 7th rounders are coming in right away and proving that they can stay in the NFL.
And a guy like
I trust him. Go for it.
A guy like C.J. Stroud, the way he played in that Georgia game made him even more interesting, right? He played in a big game. He put his team on his shoulders a little bit, and we hadn't seen that from him when he was going to be under pressure and they had to do some different stuff. So I thought that added to the intrigue about him and everything. Will be fun to watch this Sunday night. And this Sunday night's game will impact this show. We're not going to do a show during the game. That would be ass. So we will be probably a Monday night show. Jason and I will have to figure that out. But
I think we just did. Monday night's fine.
Monday night works. Well, that's the national championship.
Oh, shit. All right.
But we can't go beyond. Michigan State plays Tuesday night, so we'll probably do it.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, we'll figure out how to do it. National championship doesn't matter as much to me as that Lions game for sure. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have Harry Gagnon on. We'll pick the games. That was our interview of the week presented by Hopcat. This is Couch in the Rube, presented by our friends at Skymint Premium Cannabis.
Hopcat exists at the intersection of great beer and delicious food, complemented by music, art, community, and comfort. Home to the best-in-class beer experience served by craft beer experts. Guests can expect a casual, inviting local gathering place with some of the best damn burgers and fries you'll find in Michigan. Hopcat is proud to be an official supporter of Peyton Thorne. Show your Spartan pride by ordering the iconic Peyton Thorne burger, created by the man himself. And don't forget about Spartan basketball. Hopcat is your pre-game headquarters for basketball all season long. Catch the game at any of our locations: East Lansing, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, and Holland. To plan your next trip to Hopcat, visit www.hopcat.com. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find our live stream, podcast archives, as well as show, affiliate, and sponsorship information at our website, spotlightmediastudios.com.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, and our Wednesday night show brought to you by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. It is now time to pick the games, brought to you by Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. And to do so, as always, we bring in Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, bestbetcorner.com, and extrapoints.com. Harry, brother, how you doing?
What's up? Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year to you, too. It's good good to hear your voice. And
Cool.
Yeah. Should be an eventful week, and hopefully by the time these games play that Damar Hamlin's and healthy, and that's no longer the fear of everybody. So,
right, exactly.
So let's dig into them. We'll do the NFL games and then the national championship, and then the Lions as well in here.
Love it.
Titans plus 6.5 at Jaguars. For a game with a lot on the line, and I think the Jaguars are the better team. I think Vrabel's a hell of a coach, though. This is really hard for me. I don't trust it. Just what I've seen from the Jaguars, though, give me the Jaguars here, and I will probably be wrong. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, Joshua Dobbs, though, I think that he's a good quarterback. Those guys dropped a lot of passes for him. I think that the 6 and a hook. Give me the 6 and a hook, Harry. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling what Graham. I kind of feel the same way. I mean, Jaguars are playing as good as anybody, Their offense is rolling. Their running game's going well. The defense is playing great. Josh Allen on that end has been fantastic defensively, but a lot on the line here, and I think that might just if Jaguars may pull this one out, but 6.5 seems a little steep for a team who usually makes the playoffs. And the Titans rely fully on Derrick Henry. Let him get you there. Jaguars maybe win this game, but I'm going to take the points.
Yeah, it's a tough one. That's a tough line. 6.5 seems like a lot, but the Jaguars are playing better. All right, Chiefs minus 8.5 at Oakland, and so this is a weird game for a couple reasons. One, Jarrett Stidham looked really good for Oakland last week, and I think he looked legitimately good. And the Chiefs don't cover against anybody usually anymore. They barely hit the money line against Denver. But the other weird thing is what this game is going to mean because we don't know what's going to happen with that Bills-Bengals game. I've heard all sorts of – and the best idea I like is – and I don't know who will get the number 1 seed, but if they were to meet in the AFC Championship game, that maybe you play it at a neutral site if you don't make up that game. You play it in Indianapolis, halfway between them indoors, since they're both cold. I don't know. You could where their fans could kind of get there. I don't know what the idea would be, but there's no perfect solution, obviously. I just can't do the Chiefs over a touchdown right now, and give me the Raiders. I think they looked decent last week. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, you pretty much said it all. It's just it seems like the line is too heavy. So I'm giving the 9 and a hook. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, Graham, I like that kind of idea where you play, unfortunately may have to play it. I would like that maybe in a neutral field because I don't think it's fair that that this if any team were to benefit from this situation. Really, is it going to be Kansas City? I don't like that. I don't like that deal. But I do like them in this game. I do love the over at 52 as well. You mentioned Stidham had a great game last week. He had 3 touchdowns, 365 yards against a very good San Fran secondary. But also Kansas City first in yards per game, first in passing. I just don't see overall. The Raiders have no pass rush except for Max Crosby, 29th in yards against, 30th in picks, and 30th in sacks. They're so bad on defense. I just don't know how and when they're going to stop this Chiefs offense. When are they going to stop Mahomes? I just don't see it. I think there's a lot of points here. I think it's like 30. This is like a 38-21 type of game to me.
Okay. So the game of second most importance to people around here this weekend, Rams plus 6.5 at the Seahawks. And, I mean, we just need Baker Mayfield and the Rams. And I get the idea that that's a little bit of a rivalry. The Rams will want to play spoiler here, too. They haven't been horrible. I'm glad Mayfield's there, and he's trying to stay in the league. So they got a lot to prove. Seattle looked good last week. They seem to be rolling a little bit. Kenneth Walker's back healthy. They're over that midseason swoon. But 6.5 is a lot, and I don't think the Rams are 6.5 points worse than the Seahawks. I'm going to take the Rams here. Maybe it's the heart, but I think it's a little gut too. Jason, where are you?
The Rams are complete ass, though, Graham. If this weren't in Seattle, I know that home for the Rams is kind of like an away game, but this is in Seattle. Sharp money's coming in on it. Believe me, I want to believe, but give me the Seahawks for our little contest here. What you got, Harry?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Seahawks too. They finally, after a few weeks of just being in the tank, they showed up last week. I think Geno Smith still rallies this team. I think they get the cover and they stay alive for a playoff spot. I'm going to take the Seahawks to roll the Rams.
Yeah, it doesn't seem great. And again, I've told people if you really want to, I wouldn't bet the Packers because I don't think Lions fans could do that to themselves. It's an awful way to it'll take away from the win if the Lions were to beat the Packers if you had money on the Packers. But if you can throw them in a teaser and it was something else that wins, like putting a little on the Seahawks just so you don't feel horrible if that happens, but not so much that because you'll still be excited. You'll get over it by the time the Lions game starts. Lions fans put a little in a teaser on the Seahawks. We can find another game for you somewhere. Maybe it's so
that $32 will soothe my pain of
Jaguars
the Lions not making the Super Bowl.
Make it $320. Do whatever you got to do to soothe your pain.
So then I end up rooting another way because
don't.
There's so much money on the line.
You got to find that sweet spot, man. It's not a perfect situation. There's no doubt about it. All right, Cowboys minus 5.5 at the Commanders. Weird game here. Goes off at the same time as the Eagles, who now have to play for this against the Giants, who don't have much to play for. So I don't know. And this is one of those games where I haven't even looked at the first half line, but I would be tempted to take the Cowboys first half just because they're not going to know the score of the other game. Commanders have finally gone back to their what's his face, the other quarterback, not what's his nuts,
Ken Dorsey.
Jesus, you're doing this to me again.
Frank Tarkenton.
Oh, fuck you. It's hold on.
Carson Wentz.
They got rid of him.
Heineke.
Heineke went back to Heineke. Thank you.
No, they're going with Sam Howell.
Sam Howell.
Really? I thought they were going back to Heineke. Oh, they are going with Howell now.
Sam Howell.
Wow. Okay. I don't know.
Why does Harry say that as if we should know who he's talking about?
Yeah, I don't know who he is, but this is what.
Wait,
Jason,
is that the kid from UNC?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Give me the Cowboys.
68 touchdowns his first 2 years at UNC.
It's true.
Not so great last year, but
Give me the Cowboys here.
Holy hell!
And inside of a touchdown, still playing for a lot, not knowing what's going to happen. I think the Cowboys cover this. Jason, where are you?
God, keep me away from this game. This is a huge fade for the contest. Give me the Commanders with the points. What you got, Harry?
It's interesting. I don't know if the Cowboys, even though this could mean the division for them, I don't know how much they're really into this from what I've been reading and everything. I kind of want to see what Howell's made of here. I think they might play tough here. That a lot of times, I mean, they haven't been able to score a lot lately, but their defense has been pretty solid too, Washington, in the second half of the season. So I think maybe this is close. Dallas pulls this out, but give me Washington with the points.
All right.
Don't love it, Graham. Don't love it at all.
No,
put it in a teaser.
No, I wouldn't throw that, and I wouldn't throw that in a teaser. The teaser I kind of like, if you're going to do something with, is like teasing the Chiefs down at 8.5 at Oakland, with the Seahawks or even the Jaguars. But those are the two games I would more recommend if you were to tease something.
Sponsored by 1-800-GAMBLER.
Lions plus 4.5 at Packers. I got to be honest here. I mean, if I had to bet this game, I'm not going to bet against the Lions because I don't want to ruin the experience. But if I had to bet this game, I would absolutely be all over the Packers on this, just because historically, and maybe I'll lose, but historically I've got like 40 freaking years going back to like Don Majkowski and all that shit of like watching stuff go wrong in this scenario on primetime games against Brett Favre, against Aaron Rodgers, and I can't picture it. So if I can't picture it, I can't bet it. Give me the Packers. I feel like they're going to win by somewhere between 7 to 17 points. Jason, where are you?
I just can't pick the Packers in this game, right, Harry? I mean, I watched the team. I went to the Lions game, watched them against the Bears. They annihilated them. I understand the Packers are playing great, but I think Campbell's got this team prepared. We want to win this game, change the franchise. Give me the Lions. Moneyline sprinkle with the plus 4 and a hook. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, look, you guys know we do this every week. I've been on the Lions all second half of the season, faith in them. Like, I know I just gave out Seattle. I hope I'm wrong. If the Rams can somehow pull that out, and the Lions are live in that night game against the Packers. I know the Packers were amazing last week. They did practically everything right, but this Lions team, Campbell, they've got heart. 5 games this year. 5 games. They lost by 4 points or less. I don't want the points. I don't want Green Bay to cover. I don't want Detroit to cover. I want Detroit to win the game. Give me Lions money line 2 all the way.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
Oh man! Now you guys are inspiring me.
This means something for you guys. And get that playoff spot. Screw Green Bay.
That's only going to make it worse. There's part of me that hopes that, cause I think if it means something.
This team was 1-6, man. We're playing house money.
And what they did last week against, I know it's against the Bears, and again, since Roquan Smith has been traded to Baltimore, the Bears defense, as Jason would so eloquently say, are ass. But what a running performance. This team, I can't recall when I've enjoyed watching the Lions play more, especially Goff flawless lately. But also, the running game has been tremendous, especially last week with Swift and Williams.
That sounds gambling related. Yeah. Like he's won some money on the Lions this year.
I'm old enough to remember the Lions play at Carolina 2 weeks ago, so I've also got that in me.
But you can say that about any NFL team. I mean, people counted the Packers out.
Yeah, it's true. But they have Brett Favre.
7-2 in their last 9.
Yep. No. They got a legitimate chance, and I hope because if they exercise these demons, it'll change a lot of how I think about them. If they win this game, It'll change a lot about how I think about the possibilities for Jared Goff. It'll change.
You hear that, Detroit Lions? You're going to change Graham Couch's mind.
Goff, how about Goff? 330 yards or more, 3 of the last 5 weeks. He's getting it. This team's deadly on offense. Can they get into playoffs? They need some help, but let's do it.
I want to see him make big throws and critical downs and against the Packers in this game. And before I'm all aboard. All right. Well, we'll hope for that, and I might just do a money line sprinkle just to enjoy it. TCU plus 12.5. This game was 13.5 when it opened, plus 12.5 against Georgia. So the early money is on TCU, which, given how they played this season, I mean, they're not getting a ton of respect, but they've found a way, and they play an interesting style in that they adjust to what the other teams do. A lot of teams just do what they do. TCU tries to attack your weakness, and it's worked for them, and they've come back in a number of games, and thanks to some turnovers and other things, they were on the front foot against Michigan. But as good as those semifinals were, I don't see them winning this game, and I don't see it being all that competitive. I want it to. I'll be rooting for TCU. I think it's a great story. I think this is another game, if you're looking for a teaser to take it down 6 or 7 from 12.5, is not a bad play as well. I'm on Georgia. I wish I wasn't. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I really like, 13 and a hook was a pretty heavy opening line, Harry, but I'd still like TCU. Listen, their defense against Michigan at times was, like I say, complete ass. And Georgia, Stetson Bennett, I just don't know if they cover this heavy of spread. Georgia wins the game, but give me all those points. Who you got, Harry?
You know what, Graham, I'm with you. I want to see a competitive game. I want to see this game be close. You guys know I was at the Michigan-TCU game last week. Very fortunate with some things, TCU, Michigan not getting that touchdown call, also not getting that fourth down play inside the 5 with points. 2 pick sixes, just crushed them. You can't do that against a TCU team that really can take advantage, and they did in spots. But, what we've seen all year, what we saw last year, this Georgia defense, it's all we talk about. But they didn't show up last week against Ohio State. I think they fixed that. Stetson Bennett, all he does is win games. Kirby Smart, a fantastic coach, best in the country, I think, in college. And I want this to be close, but I don't think it's going to be. I bet this already at Georgia minus 11. I think they win this going away. I think their defense does show up. I think this is like a 38-17 type of game.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And I need a big weekend, Harry. I lost all my money betting Crystal Palace against Tottenham today, and so I got nothing. I got nothing left.
I was all over Tottenham. I was all over the Spurs.
Were you? Yeah. I should have consulted with you.
I should have texted you. I know.
It was by the way, little gambling tip for next year, Harry. The Michigan State basketball has the alumni student section come out once a year for a game, and since 2015, in non-COVID years, they are covering the spread by an average of 10.1 points per game, and they've covered every single spread. So just next year, next January, when they play that first week game or whatever, we'll get you on that, just so
I'm writing that down on my calendar as we speak.
Yeah. You're a beautiful man, Harry. Look forward to talking playoffs with you next week.
Thanks, Harry.
Guys, enjoy.
That's the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, Best Bet Corner, and ExtraPoints.com. We always appreciate talking to him. Thanks to Colton Pouncy. Fun to catch up with him. Fun to hear his voice. And fun conversation as well. Thanks to Skymint. They make this show possible. We appreciate them. And if you're still listening, well, chances are you're on Skymint. And, yeah. Thanks
I pop an edible before every show.
Thanks also to Front 43 and Cask & Company. Outstanding place for a date night. Outstanding place for a beer with a friend. Great place to watch games. Great. Just the TV setups of both places. Just my absolute favorite. That's Cask & Company in Front 43, just north of Frander. They're on East Saginaw, the Lansing, East Lansing border. We'll be back Thursday night. Twitter questions. Groovy Donut Twitter question show. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.